This is a LEGO Cargo Train from 2003, and this is a LEGO Cargo Train from 2022. And in this video, we're going to be ranking all 10 LEGO Cargo Trains released in the recent history of LEGO from worst to best. By recent history, I mean all of those released since 2003, because LEGO used to release trains more frequently than Marvel releases movies, and to rank them all would take several hours. The list today consists of 7 city trains, 1 World City train, 1 Hidden Side train, and 1 Advanced Models train. And I'll be excluding steam trains and cargo-less locomotives such as the Crocodile train from 2020. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Coming in at the 10th position, we have the Cargo Train from LEGO World City in 2003. LEGO World City is to LEGO City what Red Dead Revolver is to Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Basically, World City was a little preview of what we would get over the next 20 years in increasingly better quality. Not to say that World City is bad, but it's definitely a relic of its time. Having said that, I think the trains are very, very good for what they are and do what they do very well. Not only was this train the result of many years of LEGO cargo trains before it, it was also the precursor to many cargo trains over the next 20 years. The carriages are fairly basic. Something you'll notice is that with time, the actual cargo aspect of these trains gets more and more varied, unlike real life trains where there is generally a lot of the same carriages over and over. This is also one of the last trains to use the legendary 9-volt system before LEGO switched to, batteries. But we won't get into that argument right now. This also included a forklift, which would become a staple of LEGO cargo trains going forwards. Definitely not my favourite train, but it is admittedly well before my time, and it's easy to look over older LEGO sets when we have today's products to compare them to. In the 9th position, we have the Cargo Train Deluxe from 2006. Now, despite the implication by this set's name, there is no non-deluxe version of this train. Deluxe is just the standard title, although it could be referring to the fact that there is 4 carriages here where usually we only get 3. This set was one of 2 that debuted the fully plastic train track pieces that still get used to this day. In fact, the 1st of June 2026, around 1 year from now, will be this piece's 20-year anniversary, which is crazy to think. It also includes lights, a feature that is absent more often than not these days. We started to see a greater variety in actual cargo in this set, with features like a working crane and a forklift. There's also a blue truck thrown in here for good measure. This was one of only 2 LEGO trains to ever use the now defunct remote control system with the black and yellow controllers. I can't speak for how well they actually worked, but I have to say it looks pretty cool from an outside perspective. The main part of this train in this set is just not super interesting to me. It is a dual-cabbed green electric locomotive that is basically the Crocodile locomotive but smaller and also 14 years older. Not the biggest fan of this one, but once again I think it's just probably a relic of its time. In the 8th spot, we finally reached modern territory with a set that I actually own, the Freight Train from 2022. This was the only train in recent history to be called Freight instead of Cargo, and I imagine that only serves to distinguish it from the others. The previous Cargo Train was also at the time still available for purchase, and in fact it still is in Europe. So that probably had something to do with it. I have to be honest, I don't love the look of this train. This set heavily incorporates the theme of electric vehicles, with the train obviously being electric, but 2 cars and a charging station included as well. It is a dual cab like most LEGO cargo trains, and it has a mix of yellow, blue, black and white. I just really dislike the design of the locomotive cabs. They are really weird to me. However, I don't mind the included carriages, a teal one for transporting the charging station, a brown one with some produce, and a car carrying carriage. Definitely one of my lesser favourite cargo trains. That locomotive just looks bad, honestly. In the 7th spot is my first ever LEGO cargo train, the 2018 version. In many ways this feels like a remake of the deluxe cargo train from 2006, and whilst it has its strengths, it also definitely has its weaknesses. This was one of the 2 sets that debuted the powered up system, an improvement over its predecessor if you ask me, and this includes a pretty standard list of carriages, a crane carriage, a log carriage, and a container carriage, as well as the token forklift and vehicle, and a signal tower as well, which was a nice little addition. One of my biggest grievances with this train is the fact that it is one of the few LEGO City trains that cannot accommodate lights. Whilst not all of them come with lights installed, almost all of them have allowed you to easily insert lights if you buy them separately, and due to the way it's constructed, this one simply doesn't. I'm also just not completely in love with the locomotive design, however the colour is good, but this set quite honestly pales in comparison to the 2 that came before it, which we'll look at in a minute. But the number 6 spot goes to the Ghost Train from the short-lived theme Hidden Side in 2019. This train was not only part Ghost, but also just a pretty decent looking American train for a non-creator or city set. The carriages are fairly short and unrealistic. That being said, this is a literal ghost train we are discussing, and the locomotive is by far the star of the set. It's not the most detailed it could be, definitely, but it is a nice enough looking thing if you missed out on the 2014 Cargo Train. And dark red is also an underutilised colour in train sets. The ability to sprout wings and wisdom teeth does this a lot of favours, helping it climb the rankings, and with a few modifications I think you could also get this motorised in no time. The set also includes a nice little station, but more notably this was the debut of the ground to track ramp piece, which has appeared several times since and allows you to take your trains off track and put them onto tracks more easily. A solid innovation from LEGO. Entering top 5 now, we have a specimen that I was honestly unaware of for a long time, the red cargo train from 2011. Apparently it was a LEGO shop exclusive, so that explains it. Usually we would get a pair of LEGO cargo and passenger trains every 4 years, and that is still true, at least as of 2025. However, 2011 broke that mold by giving us one extra cargo train that year. This one is special for a few reasons, most notably to me, the fact that they recolored the bottom half of the Power Functions battery box in red. This is due to the width of the train's nose being only 4 studs long, so there was no easy way to cover it up without chewing up the valuable 6 stud width of the whole thing. This can also go both forward and backwards without affecting the look, as some real life long hooded trains do. And this is really the only train we've gotten in this style, at least in LEGO City. We also get a rail inspection vehicle and a carriage for it to go on, which is quite unique. We have only had one rail inspection vehicle since in our LEGO train station set. The conveyor belt at the side is also an unusual addition. Due to the exclusivity, this train goes for a higher price these days than most of its peers, and I can't say there is anything here that I actually dislike. In the 4th position is the cargo train from 2010, one of the 2 trains to debut the Power Function system. This one has a very noticeable locomotive, being in LEGO's shade of regular yellow, which really makes it stand out. Like most LEGO cargo trains, it is dual cabbed, and it features the cab piece from LEGO World City, which is not the last time it would be used, but it is the last time of only 2 times that it appeared in yellow. I like this train a lot because it reminds me very much of one of my favourite real-life locomotives, the V-Line N-Class, a train from my home state of Victoria, Australia, and a dying breed on our passenger rail lines. Of course though, like most LEGO trains, this is intended to be electric, not diesel, as indicated by the pantograph present. The carriages are an octane tank, a flatbed with a container, and another flatbed with 2 cars similar to Emmett's from the LEGO movie. There's also a truck and a cargo dock crane included, which is a nice switch up from the usual forklift or mobile rail crane. This set also debuted the flexible rail pieces, which have only appeared in a handful of sets since. Absolutely love this train, and I especially love those cockpit pieces. Speaking of those cockpit pieces, the 3rd best cargo train on the list is the heavy haul train from 2015. This one is very similar to the previous train at a glance, mostly due to the shapes on the front and the back, but this was actually the last set ever that amazing cab piece appeared in, though here they opted for trans blue windscreen pieces instead of trans clear, and this train is intended to run on fuel and not electricity. This was the last LEGO shop exclusive city train if I recall, which is why it released in an odd numbered year, and it's a shame we haven't had one since because I'll always take more LEGO City trains. That being said, we did just get an extra train this year in the form of the Arctic Explorers train, which will be included in my video ranking every special train set, which may exist sometime in the coming months. The actual carriages in this set are pretty lackluster, honestly. There's a brown hopper kind of thing full of 1x1 cylinders, a carriage for a very small helicopter, and a flatbed for a backhoe. There is also a crane included for extra playability. The locomotive is absolutely the best looking inclusion here, which is fine because the locomotive is always the most important part of any LEGO train. Not a bad send-off for the Power Function system or for that World City cab piece. In 2nd place, we have a set that I absolutely cherish, the cargo train from 2014. This is the only blue LEGO City cargo train, apart from the little amount on the 2022 version, and this is clearly styled after North American locomotives. I don't know a ton about trains outside of Australia, but I can definitely recognise the look this is going for. The locomotive design is just fantastic with the discs on the top and the yellow bordering it. The actual cargo as well is nice and varied with some livestock, a gas tank and some big green rolls of nondescript electrical material. There's also a forklift, truck and yellow land-mounted crane to move cargo around. This one really has everything you could want from a LEGO City cargo train, and I hope I can one day acquire it to fulfill that desire for this that I've harboured since 2014. And in the number 1 spot is something quite different than the rest, at least in its approach to the material. I'm talking about set 10219, Maersk train from 2011. This was released under the LEGO Advanced Models line, which would in 2013 morph into LEGO Creator Expert, before transforming again in 2021 into what we now know as LEGO Icons. This train is truly unique in that it is one of only a handful of officially licensed LEGO trains. Yes, LEGO very often replicates real-life trains, like with the Horizon Express, but rarely do they actually outright create one with the full branding and everything. Now, LEGO by this point was no stranger to collaborating with the shipping giant, which may have something to do with the fact that both companies are Danish. But did you know that Maersk even has its own shade of blue that only appears in Maersk branded LEGO sets? Talk about exclusivity. The The locomotive itself is similar to the City Cargo train from a few years later, but is definitely more detailed. Same goes for the carriages loaded with shipping containers, as well as the included truck and even the minifigs. We've not had a LEGO Maersk branded set since 2014, which is a shame because I think an updated version of this could work well. I love when LEGO gives us treats like this, and it's a shame that the last real specialty train we've gotten in recent years, apart from the Orient Express, was the Crocodile locomotive in 2020. I could be wrong, but I'm sure there is a market for highly detailed LEGO trains that train nerds would absolutely snap up, in the same way that Technic and Speed Champions appeal to car fans. But that has been my ranking of every LEGO cargo train since 2003. Let me know down in the comments if you would like to see me rank every Steam train next, and what your personal list would have looked like. That's been all for today, folks. Have a great day, and see you in the next video.